Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Anamkara meditation program. With all my heart and with all my love, I welcome you to our program this evening. Great that you're able to join us. Last time we were talking, a lot of rich discussion came up around people's questions, and everything from, understanding karma, which is one of the most mystical concepts in terms of the impact it has across lifetimes. It's actually a very simple understanding in terms of cause and effect. But the great sages and mystics, as we go into those states where we see how that both accumulates the negative outcomes and the positive outcomes, that we then live lifetime after lifetime in order to fulfill that law of the consequences of our actions belong to us. Interestingly, it's in this relative field, and that's part of what we were talking about, sort of on the absolute level of the infinite, of your divine self. Well, there's no doership there. There's no separation there. So all the ordinary understanding of karma and everything isn't in that state. This is in the state of our consciousness identified with the limited vehicle of mind and body. And in identification with that, it adopts doership. And so it sees itself as the doer of all those actions. And being wedded and identified with doing, it also reaps then all the consequences of it. So sadhana practice that invites us more and more to sort of shift the center of our identity, the locus of our identity, from our individual self to our universal self. That's both a way of getting free of the karmic consequences in terms of how we create them, as well as being able to be in a state that we move through the karmas that go with this mind, this body, this life, but from a place of freedom, a place of being able to watch the unfolding as the unfolding of our own creation. Also, when we were talking about that, people often wonder, well, who set up this play? And we can say, oh, well, God. I mean, that's what mystics say. But you have to remember, they're also saying, well, who's God? Oh, that's you. Not your individual little self. That would be inflated to think that little ego mind was God. It's a universal self that creates this whole unfolding of all that we experience as the manifestation of its creativity, its wild creativity, its Shakti, its power of consciousness to create and become all forms, as well as to dissolve all forms. So when we more and more enter the state of meditation, which is the state of your true self, it's the state of your divine self, it's the state of God within, without, there is no within and out when we come down to it with the divine. When you have that experience and live in that state, then everything is the unfolding of your grace, your creativity. It's all happening within yourself, as yourself. That's why the great Christian mystic, St. John of the Cross, when he felt he was given the grace to see through God's eyes, he said, all God sees is himself. That we don't see any other. There's no lack, there's no need, there's no want, there's no for and against, there's no opposition, there is no other. But that's not something the mind can posture. So we also get to see how the mind, when it tries to grasp truths and have understandings, it tries to posture as if it inhabited that kind of wisdom. But it's still looking through the eyes of divisiveness. That's why it's, the two eyes are related to the ordinary ego mind and ordinary perception, seeing dualities, pairs of opposites. What's good, what's bad, what's to be avoided, what's to be approached, what's repulsive, what's attractive, all those things. So that's why metaphorically, symbolically, when we talk about opening the eye of wisdom, it's one eye. This eye, that's symbolic, to say, oh, we see unity. Through the eye of wisdom, you see unity. and you see both simultaneously. You see how the ordinary mind sees, but now, more and more, as you're living more and more into the state of yourself, your highest self, that wisdom eye remains open. So even while the mind is engaged in the field of differentiation, the wisdom eye is seeing it in unity, seeing the oneness of it all, the wonder of it all. And that's not something the ordinary mind can posture at. That's something the ordinary mind finally has to just surrender and then be in a position to be infused with that wisdom. So it's not the ordinary mind alone that's trying to steer the vehicle of mind and body, creating karma, crashing into this, running from that, whatever. It's now, oh, that's very different. Now the divine is there. Oh, that's like in the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna has as his charioteer Lord Krishna. So no karma accumulates to him because he's driven around by Lord Krishna. And he's being told, just do your dharma, fight on the field, live this out. It's all the unfolding of Krishna's creation. So to know that, to experience that, we have to go into these shifts of state, because the ordinary waking state, the ordinary dream state, even the ordinary deep sleep state, are all limited states caught in this identification with the vehicles. So it's opening to that infinitude of being that allows us to go beyond the whole field of karma and see the unfolding of the divine as our own self, as all creation. So it's a radical shift in state, not just by any means a conceptual understanding, because concepts and philosophies will never set us free. They help inform the mind some, but the mind gets to thinking that, oh, I'm grasping it, I'm getting hold of it. So even when it gets a hold of an idea like, oh, part of this way of looking at creation is, well, that's the creation of Maya Shakti. Maya means that which is measurable. It gets used in a dismissive way. Oh, it's just Maya. But that is an attitude of the ordinary mind. That's not the attitude of the self. The ordinary mind picks it up, and when things are bad or rough, oh, it's just Maya. You very rarely see people go, it's just Maya, when they're having a great time. So the mind sort of co-opts some of these teachings and practices, and in order to try and just manipulate its inner world to keep it comfortable. But to truly understand the notion of this being Maya is to understand, oh, Maya Shakti, that's one of the powers of the infinite to create the experience of what it is to be finite. Because the mind in the moment would say, this Maya, well, that mind is just Maya as well. So it's not reflecting on that. It's just trying to use it to soothe itself and to deeply contemplate, to deeply understand the nature of Maya Shakti and what she creates, including creating the dynamic of identification with mind and body. That's part of what this power of consciousness that we would call Shakti, that it creates. That's why the mind alone, which is the outcome of that creation, can't just set us free. The Shakti that creates that identification, that root identification with mind and body, that's the power of consciousness that then sets us free from that. Opens the door again to knowing directly, I am, aham. But that's the I am awareness of I am the infinite, I am the boundless one. Those are all words. It's not the concept of that. It's the direct experience of seeing there's nothing that's not yourself. There's not an atom in this entire universe that doesn't emerge from you, dissolve into you. That's what we're here to know. That's what sets us free. That's what gives us the fullness of being, that we're not tormented by the lack and wants that the ordinary mind is constantly being pulled one direction or another by. It's a shift in state. So freedom comes from letting go of identification with the ordinary mind. So we come home to the natural presence, already fully here, but since we're so identified with mind and body, roles that we play, all the things that we created in this life that we think is that's who I am, setting that aside, then we discover the fullness, the infinitude of being. That is the ground of all existence. Because everything else has an ephemeral existence. The existence of being, that's eternal. So it really has to come, it really comes to being able to know that in its fullness, okay? And all the practices are aimed at empowering us to know that, to experience that directly. And so when we enter these shifts in states of consciousness, part of what we were talking about also had to do with being able to understand, well, what's the bindu? What's the black dot at the center of the Mahakala Yantra? But the black dot as a symbol is so important to so many different mandalas, yantras. The Om, the symbol of Om has the dot because it's that portal. It's that entryway in both directions. All of creation comes out of that. So the infinite is just the other side. And all of creation dissolves. The mind dissolves going into that. So it's the womb and the tomb. It's the portal between the finite and the infinite. It's always open. It's always there. It's always present. Right? But it's always present here and now. The mind is so often caught up in past and future, it's not paying attention. It has a hard time coming into the presence of here, now, what's here, now, in all its fullness. So many of the practices are aimed at empowering us to gather our attention, our awareness, and bring it into the present moment. We make use of breath, because the breath is always in the moment. We bring our attention to a mantra as we're breathing. Again, to help anchor attention and awareness in the moment so we get to experience the fullness of being that's here and now. The mind that's thinking about tomorrow or yesterday or this afternoon or whatever, it's not in keeping the company of the divine here and now. We only know that here and now, always here and now. So it's coming back to that and making that the resting place. Because in order to come there, think of all we have to let go of just to come into this present moment. All the ways that the ordinary mind is engaged about the past and the future, whether it's anticipatory anxiety, whether it's looking forward to something great, whatever it is, or trying to get away from something or forget something, or all that stuff that keeps the mind in the past, in the future, not here, not now. So that in itself, bringing our attention here and now, that's a major act of self-discipline. One of the just foundations of practice, so that we can come into the presence. That's why in the yantra, these two lines that form the four-gated city going around that blue inner precinct, the two lines represent the past and the future. So you don't even get into the inner precinct, this blue space, this blue light of consciousness, unless you're here and now, much less get past the flaming guardians, Bhairavis and Bhairavas in all 8 directions, and then enter even past that. You have to go through the gunas, then you have to go through the dark void of the causal body in order to start to enter the flaming realm of Shakti, of Kali, of Ma. So much awaits us once we get here and now. So that's the first step. Come into the present. Stay here. Stay now. And we can do that all day long. Make that a practice. How can I stay here and now? That'll also make us more focused on whatever we have to be giving our attention to. Any tasks that need to be done. Oh, how do I stay present here and now? That's what also then calls forth the whole notion in sadhana practice, spiritual practice, of the nature of Tantra and the Tantric tradition, saying every moment is a leaping off point for the infinite, to know the infinite, every moment. So every moment we slough off not doing that, we've lost another opportunity. Come back to the infinite, come back to the self, come back to the infinite, come back to the self, here and now. It's always here, always now, no matter what we're doing. We're with family, with friends, with our at work, whatever we're doing, anything, if we bring the right attention and awareness to it, we will experience the living presence of the divine as our own self, illuminating all that we are perceiving and all that's beyond the mind. They're always all present. All of it is always present. So we can see that one of the things that we work with in sadhana is just that trying to help the mind come back to the present, back to here and now, just so that we have that fully in our consciousness, so that we are then available to knowing. Because as soon as we're off in something else, we've left behind the field of knowing the divine. The field of knowing the divine is here and now. Go to the past, go to the future. Now you're involved in the mind and its creations, its memories, its anticipations, its projections, all that stuff. So it's always let it go, come back to here and now. And the practices invite us to do that over and over and over. And one of the things that I was talking about just a few moments ago about the Course is it's a contemplative practice, because contemplation and seeing what's invoked when we encounter expressions. I mean, all expressions, whether they're words, whether they're pictorial, whether they're statues, they're still in the field of the limited mind, but these higher expressions point beyond themselves. They're symbols. Symbols always point beyond themselves. Symbolic language, like poetry, points beyond itself. So even as we're listening from that invocation, what starts to come through is what's beyond the words themselves. What starts to come through is that resonance within, because that divine is always present within. And so when we're keeping the company of the truth, whether we're reading texts and sutras, whether we're reading sacred poetry, whether we're keeping the company like we do in satsang, that's keeping the company of the truth. These are all ways of helping to bring us back so that we can feel attuned to that. We can listen to the divine within more easily, more clearly, because it's reverberating in our presence. So I thought I'd share a couple of pieces from Oh My Beloved. The first one is titled, My Beloved Brought Me to Her. My beloved brought me to her midnight portal, entryway to mysteries beyond mysteries. I peered into the infinite dark, her formless presence, knowing the boundless love of ecstatic dissolution she was drawing me into. Fear and trepidation have long fled, yet ecstatic trembling seizes this body. Oh, the blissful anticipation that is given to mind and body, heart and soul. Her luscious embrace pulls what remains of me into the dark. Now, suddenly radiant, with flames of love blazing everywhere. All is aflame, all is alight with her fire. She is the fire of love, birthing infinite forms, all within herself, all radiant with her living presence. All forms are her, only her, dancing everywhere. Oh, my beloved, grant this vision to everyone. How can we breathe without knowing the fire of your love? That knowing, that Shakti of knowing. That's not the mind knowing. That's not conceptual knowing. That's the direct gift of the Shakti that blazes within you. We have to look towards her. We have to open our arms towards that. We have to embrace that. It means let go of the ordinary mind, because the extraordinary presence of the divine here now. If we continually cling to the body and the mind, the roles, our identities, all those things are the things the mind chews on, what it's irritated by, what it wishes it had, what it wishes it didn't have. Where does God fit in? Let it go long enough. And that blazing light of the infinite right there. My dear sweet soul, lifetimes of longing, lifetimes of searching, grace has now brought you into the arms of the beloved. Rest in the divine embrace. Quiet the mind's agitation. Silence is the language of sublime love. Explanations, justifications, confessions have no place in the arms of the beloved. Be still. You are completely loved. You are completely lovable. In the stillness of pure being, melt. Melt the illusion of two. Melt in quiet rapture. Melt till all is love, eternal, inexhaustible, all-embracing love, God's living presence. God's living presence, the living presence of your own self, the living presence of the divine within you, within all creation. All longing is really for that. It's the only thing that grants fullness. It's the only thing that satiates all desires. That's what we keep seeking. That's what we more and more skillfully turn towards. Remembering, oh no, that thing isn't going to satisfy. That's not going to make me happy. Fleeting pleasures, fleeting moments. The eternal, rapturous state of being. Rest in that. And you'll walk through the fires of the world unscathed. The living flame of love, igniting the root, burns upward, consuming the wick, knot by knot. Soften, melt, be drawn up into the holy fire. First the body, incandescent with love, sets the mind ablaze. Freed from self, love's unbearable fire then feasts on the final knot. The dark cause of all causes vanishes, vanquished by love's boundless radiance. The painful illusion of separation exploded. No thing, no one remains. Nothing, no one. Consumed in the fire of love. So this points to the whole path that's also symbolically represented by Shakti, Kundalini, arising from the Muladhara and moving through the chakras and piercing the knots. The knots are the borderlines between these states. So she ignites the living flame of love, igniting the root chakra, the Muladhara chakra, awakening there, becoming inflamed, illuminating, purifying, burns upward, consuming the wick. It's consuming everything about you, setting the energy free. What does fire do? It sets the bound energy in mass free, turns it into light. Knot by knot, till that final knot between the causal body. The causal body is the experience of that void. It's the experience of deep sleep. You haven't become all the things of the particulars of the mind, the subtle body, the physical body. You're in the causal body, this void. But it's limited, it's bound. You have to go through that. And there, the infinitude of being, of radiance, of love. But we have to become quiet. The mind that's moving is the mind that's attached to something. No matter what it is, it's going to draw it down to the grosser levels of experience. So we learn, let go, let go, let go. My Lord, our God, spoke. If you want to be filled, first you must be emptied completely. Remain empty and I will fill you. Remain empty and I will fill you. Remain empty. I will fill you with love every moment from now through eternity. The divine has been saying this to humanity forever. Let go. Remain empty and be filled with the divine. You fill yourself with the mind, with thoughts, with all the concerns that go with the mind, by identification. Let the mind take care of its dharma and do what it has to. Don't have it fill you. Two very different things. We don't have to eliminate the mind. It's detachment. It's stepping back. It's being free of the content and not being identified. Being identified with the one who illumines every thought, every pulse of your heart, every throb, every beat, everything, every movement. What's illuminating that? What's the Shakti behind that? That's you. Shift from the limited forms to the infinite source. That's what we're asked to do. That's what we're given the means to do. The practices, the sublime power and Shakti of mantra. Mantra is the sound form of the infinite, the one. So when we take refuge in mantra, that's what we're taking refuge in. Oh, weary soul, my body's dead, my memory's ceased. My Lord's name is all that's left, says Kabir. Oh, weary soul, take refuge in the name. Shiva, Shiva, Mahadev, Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Oh, ocean of mercy. Oh, infinite expanse. Oh, of all embracing love. Oh, boundless sea of rapturous ecstasy. You bestow your grace on those wandering in the liminal grounds of death and sacrifice. Having nothing left to lose, they are ripe for your gift, the ultimate disillusionment. Now, giver, gift, and receiver merge in the bindu of your beloved. Nothing remains but the whispered throb of your name. Shiva, 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 Shiva. Shiva. That's what our soul longs. Our weary soul longs for that. That's the one thing that will quench the fires of all suffering, all pain, all longing, all loss. Come home to the one. Rest there. And so we're going to chant the Maha Mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, for a few minutes to just drown body and mind in this throb of the infinite, this graceful gift of the divine that serves as a homing beacon, that serves as a life preserver. Take hold of it. The divine will reel you in. There you rest in the truth. So we'll chant for a few minutes, and then we'll just sit in that stillness. And if the mind moves, let it move with Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Whether it says it fast or slow, it doesn't matter. Just Om Namah Shivaya. With the awareness, I am that. I, Shiva means the auspicious one. I am the auspicious one. I am the infinite. I am that. It's the pure I am. It's coming home to that. And we'll sit in the stillness for a few minutes. At the end, I'll ring a gong. We'll chant for a few rounds and then close for the evening. But now, take refuge. Taking refuge in the mantra is taking refuge in your divine self. Becoming absorbed in mantra is becoming absorbed in your divine self. Becoming absorbed means identifying with I am the mantra. I'm not this mind. I'm not just this body. I am a throb of the infinite. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. I am that. We reside in the fullness of that truth in order to know the infinitude of being. Shri Kali Mahadevi Ki Jai. Om Namah Om Namah Kali Mahandevi ki jai. So we end with this prayer. May all our practices truly benefit everyone, and may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. The stillness, the silence, the source, always present. Even if the mind's moving, the self isn't. It's like the space around us. No matter how much we move, the space is unmoved, embraces all movements, embraces stillness. Your divine self, your true self, always present, seeing, illuminating, knowing movements of mind and body, inviting, always inviting you to freedom, to come to rest in the truth. The ephemeral is all movement. The mind is the ephemeral. The ephemeral rests on the eternal alone. For the mind to know true rest, it has to enter that stillness, dissolve. When it arises again, now it'll have the impression, the indelible impression of having been home and knowing it's always in the arms of the divine. That even in its movements, that's held. Even in its movements, it's illuminated. Even in its contracted states, it's loved and lovable, held by the one. But to know that, that's why we take birth. Keep coming home to yourself through mantra, through knowing, through stillness, through silence, through witnessing. Rest in that highest truth. Know freedom in every moment, in every situation. Because we're only as free as we are free of the mind. Thank you all for coming. With all my heart, with all my love. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you again.